Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Urushi Studio India, and this is the Xiphos R in Akatamanuri. We have an OMAS Milord in the Wild. We have a Parker Duofold, and this is in the Purlin black. A Parker Duofold Centennial in the black Chevron. We have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the diamond Nebula. We have a London Pen Company, the Christopher, in caramel Erinoid. We have a London Pen Company Christopher 15, and this is in the Jonathan Brooks primary manipulation. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade. We have an Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra Wild West. And we have a Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in the shiny circles. So I think let's take a look at these pens a little bit more detail. So this is the Urushi Studio India, and this is the Xiphos R. The Xiphos is actually, or Xiphos R stands for regular, and there's a long and there's a short, so an L and an S. But this is a pen that is made by GM Custom Pens in India, and Vivek actually works with both GM Custom Pens and his own side brand, Urushi Studio India. So he takes the GM Custom Pens and then lacquers them with Urushi. So this was a pen that I picked up from Vivek, and you can see it's a beautiful sort of mirror-like, sort of pond-like sort of finish there. So this is an Akatamanuri-like finish. It has a number 6 size, and this is a medium Yovo, and this is a steel nib. It's not a gold nib. It's gold plated, but I could have had a gold nib on here, but I decided I would just go with the steel nib because it's a Yovo nib. I can always go and buy a gold Yovo nib and put that in the pen if I wanted to. At the moment I'm liking the steel nib, so I am just keeping the steel nib in there. The next pen is an OMAS Milord, and this is in the wild, and this is a beautiful sort of lightning style pen. This is a celluloid. This is unfortunately long sold out, and OMAS is long gone, but this material still keeps cropping up. It was a material that OMAS used a lot in their celluloid pens, so you can get this material in other pens, and I have it in a bunch of other pens. This has an 18 karat gold, and it's a medium nib. It's an OMAS nib with an ebonite feeder there, so you can see that. But this material really is quite nice. In the size of my hand, it's actually a good size. And I like the pen. It's I like this sort of wild celluloid material. It really is a lovely material. And then here's another pen that I picked up, and I picked this up in April, and this is a pen that I've actually been, dare I say, lusting after. Probably not lusting, but this is a pen that I have wanted since 2016, and this is a Parker Duofold Centennial, and you can see there the finial. It's a pen, it's a sort of material, a pattern, a colour, the pearl and black that I have wanted for obviously quite a few years, and I've never been able to pick it up at the right price, and this one was being sold for a pretty good price. So I messaged Izods and Roy, and I was able to pick this one up from him, and it really is a stunning sort of pearl material with those black veins going through it as well. And if I unscrew here the cap, you'll see it has the lucky nib there, the Parker nib, and that is a fine 18 karat gold nib there. But it's a lovely pen, and I'm loving writing with it. If I wanted to, I can post a cap. I don't post caps, as you may or may not know, but it's a really beautiful pen. It is used, so it's not 100% in immaculate condition, but it's in good enough condition, really, for me. So I was glad that I was able to add that to my collection. And then earlier on I think it was in April, beginning of April, I purchased this pen, and this is a Parker Duofold Prestige, and this is in the black Chevron. So it's very similar to the Centennial in terms of size, but it is the Prestige. So this is a beautiful pen. I've already got a blue one of these, blue with gold trims, and I have wanted the black one for a while. And again, I saw this and it was going for a good price on eBay. So I decided I would pick this one up. This has ruthenium trims on it, and you can see there it's got an 18 karat gold fine nib, so another fine nib, but I'm liking that a lot. These pens are actually a lot more weightier because they are solid metal than compared to the regular Centennials, but I like those pens. I like the weight of them, and I like the size of them, so I decided I would add that to my collection. So I got this one just before this one. So yeah, I seem to be going on a little bit of a Parker sprint at the moment. Hopefully normal surface will resume, and I'll be back on Viscontis again, or something else. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Diamond Nebula. This was a pen that I picked up from Eric at Atelier Lusso. It has the Mackenzie diamond cast in here, in that material, so it is real diamond dust, and it's a beautiful pen. It's got brass here. You can polish that. I have polished it a few times. I've not polished it recently, so it will polish up a lot more than that. I have a steel Jowo nib in there, and that is a broad Jowo nib. I absolutely love this pen. It's a broad nib. It writes really, really well. I typically find that from the broad Jowo nibs and also Twisby nibs as well. I really do like those, and so I'm loving writing with this. I have that one inked up with me this week as well, and you can see it has this lovely sort of like diamond sort of punched pattern on the clip there. The next pen I have inked up is this one, and it's a London pen company. So this is from Sean at London Pen Company, and this is the Christopher. And this is a beautiful, beautiful caramel Erinoid and material, and it comes with an ebonite section there, and it has a broad Jowo steel nib there, and it's a gold-plated nib. But you can see that there. These pens are actually quite long, and I do like the length of them, and I do like the girth of them, actually. You can post the cap. It doesn't post deeply, so it's not going to post that securely. So I wouldn't post the caps, but then again, I don't. But this is a beautiful pen. You can see there the length of that pen. So even if you have some really, really long hands, you are not going to really need to post that cap, unless you're posting it because it's not the length, but you're posting it because you don't want the cap to roll away, perhaps, then in which case maybe you still want to post that cap. The next one here is again another London pen company, the Christopher, and this is in the 15 model, and this is the big boy. This is the largest pen that Sean has made now, and I have to say I am loving this size. So Sean, you, I believe, at least for me anyway, and maybe I am in the minority, but you are onto a winner here, because this, for me, is the right size. I love the girth of this pen, and I love the size of it. Now, it is just a tad shorter than the other Christopher. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. If I unscrew this here, you'll see it has a Bock steel nib there, and that is a broad nib as well, I believe. Yeah. So this is made with the Jonathan Brooks material, and this is the primary manipulation. And you can just see this here. This is a really, really beautiful material. It's PM1, primary manipulation 1, but this is stunning. So I do like what Jonathan Brooks is doing here in the primary manipulation. The only issue I do have with primary manipulation, and I guess I do have it with other pens, but more so the primary manipulation, is that everyone is completely and utterly different. So you really need to see a pen that is made first so that you can say whether or not that's the model you want, because the colors are going to vary massively between batches. So just, you do have to bear that in mind. But this is a really lovely pen. So I'm glad that Sean was able to send that in for review, and I'm got that inked up this week. The next pen is this one, and it's a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade, and this comes with this lovely jade coloured resin. It's a beautiful pen. It's got a lot of chatoyance there in that pen. It is an oversized pen. It comes with a number 8 size, and it's an 18 karat gold medium nib there. You'll see that the nib is a sort of greenish color there. The nib is laser etched, so it will actually look as though it stains, but it doesn't. Once you wash the nib off, it will be perfectly fine. And that's just the way it is. So there's a bit of nib creep going on there, and it will look as though that nib is stained, but it's not. This is a really nice oversized pen. You can post the caps, but it is a crazy long pen. If you want to be seen in a hall or in a library or something, then yeah, post the cap. But other than that, like, I don't see there's much point to posting the cap on a pen that is going to be this long. But this is a really beautiful size, beautiful weight, and I just love it. I love it a lot. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. And then the other pen here I have is an Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra, and this is the Wild West. And you can see that there. Now, this is a resin, but it's a striated resin. So they layer different colors of resins and they bond them together, and then they cut them at a different angle. So you get this lovely sort of like, almost like a Venetian blind type effect going on. Now, this, like the Wahl Eversharp, because it's all made by the pen family, or part of the pen family, this is a similar nib. It's an Armando Simoni Club nib though, but it's an number 8 size, 18 karat gold nib. It's a medium nib, and it's just got different laser etchings on that nib. So you can see the massive, again, sort of feed there, Erinoid feed. So this, again, is a large pen in my hand. The caps are not designed to post because of this metal ring here. So they will not post deeply or securely, and it's going to sort of move around a bit. So these are pneumatic fillers, the ASC Bologna Extras, along with the Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversizes. But this is, again, a beautiful pen that I love writing with. So I have that one inked up with me this week. And then the last pen is this one. It's the Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in the shiny circles, and it has a clock on the cap finial. And the cap finial does unscrew like so. So you can, if you really wanted to, remove that clock. I'm not really sure why you would want to do that necessarily, but maybe if you didn't like having the clock on there, perhaps. But I think it looks better with the clock on there. I have polished this up recently. This is sterling silver, all of the trims. So I have polished this up to make it a little bit more shiny. The circles, the shiny circles, are basically going round the pen. I've got shiny lines where these circles are actually lines going up and down the pen. Now, the section on this is silver, and I've polished that silver as well. And it comes with a number 8 size, and this is a Montegrappa medium nib. But this is a really, again, a nice size in my hand. You can post a cap, and it does post securely, but because of all the silver here on the end of the cap, it really, that's how my hand wants to rest. It wants to rest. If I really let it rest, it would be resting like that. So it is heavily back weighted, and again, I'm not a cap poster. I think I probably used to be many years ago, but this was with a lot more cheaper pens, and I think even then I wasn't posting most of my caps. It was only posting a few caps. So there are pens, certainly shorter pens, that I will post the caps on. If I feel the need to post the cap, then I will. But if I don't, then I won't. It's just that simple. So that's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think now let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the Urushi Studio Idia Xiphos R. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a medium nib, and I do find a lot of Jowo medium nibs write dry. So I have flossed this nib, but it still writes a little bit more dry than I would personally like. But I will probably, I think I'm going to at some point actually swap this out for a broad nib, because I prefer the broad nibs, and it means I would write with this a lot more. So this is the Urushi Studio Idia, and it's the Xiphos R in Aka Tamanuri, and it is a medium still nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Poppy Red, which is a lovely red ink. The next pen is the OMAS Milord in the Wild. Now, I actually have this inked up with another red ink, and you'll see that here. Now, this nib is quite wet, and it's also, it's a medium nib, but it's quite bouncy because it's a gold, 18 karat gold nib. So this is the OMAS Milord. And it's in the wild, and it's a medium 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Waterman, and it's Audacious Red, which strangely, typically, I always think Audacious Red looks more like Diamine Poppy Red, but looking at this now, this is actually quite different. The next pen is the Parker Duofold in the Centennial in the Purlin Black. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a fine nib. So it isn't as broad as some of the nibs I have in my collection. And it's not really a super wet nib either, but it's wet enough. So this is a Parker Duofold Centennial, and it's the Pearl and Black. And it is a fine, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Imperial Purple. Now, strangely enough, I bought this ink a while back, and a friend mentioned to me that he thought his bottle was going off because it smells really terrible. And I went eventually and checked my bottle of ink, and it smells the same way. So I think it must be to do with the antifungal properties or something that is in that ink. But it does smell. It's a little bit between a musty chemical sort of smell. It's really hard to describe, but it certainly smells a lot more different than most diamine inks. The next pen is the Parker Duofold Prestige in the black chevron. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now again, this is another fine nib. And this is quite a nice wet nib. So this is the Parker Duofold Prestige, and it's in the black chevron. Now these pens are actually now out of production, so if you want one of these Parker Duofold Prestige chevrons, then pick one up when you see one, because they did make a load of them, but these were, I think, made in 2016, and they only lasted for about, I think, 18 months in production. So this is a fine, and again, it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Franklin Christoph, and it's Sweet Maroon. And I know, I need to buy a lot more Franklin Christoph inks. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Diamond Nebula. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this, it is quite a wet writing nib. It's not a fire hose nib, but this ink is also a dry ink as well. So this is the Atelier Lusso Carina, and it's the Diamond Nebula, and it is a broad and it's a steel nib. And then the ink in here is Monteverde, and it's Blueberry Muffin, which for me is a really nice coloured ink, but not blue. And I always associate blueberries as being blue. Let me know if you think that blueberries are not blue, but I definitely think they are more of a blue, purplish bluey sort of type of colour. The next pen is the London Pen Company, the Christopher. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a lovely broad Yovo nib. I do like these nibs a lot. I do find that they tend to be quite wet. So this is the London. Oops. If I can actually put an N and not a P. So London. I was getting ahead of myself. P for pen. London Pen Company, and it's the Christopher. And it is in Erinoid Caramel. And then it's a broad and it's a steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Chocolate, which is a beautiful dark chocolatey coloured ink. The next pen is the London Pen Company Christopher 15 in Primary Manipulation 1. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, I wasn't really sure what ink to put in this pen because you can see there's so many different colours in this material. So I could have gone with anything. I could have gone with some browns or some reds. I thought that I actually had a few pens inked up in red and brown or similar colours. So I thought I would go with maybe a green to match some of the green hues here in the pen. So this is the London Pen Company, and it's the Christopher. And this is in the primary manipulation 1, and this is a broad and it's a still nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Meadow. And I have to say, I really do like this pen. The next pen is the Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is one of these fire hose of a nibs. It's very, very wet. And typically that's how I like most of my pens. So this is a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade, and it is a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Aqua Lagoon, and honestly I have wanted to change this ink every time I re-ink it, but when you look at those colours I think it matches it really well. So I'm sorry, but I'm sticking with Diamine Aqua Lagoon in this pen because I could go with Softmint. I'm just looking at a few bottles of ink on my ink wall behind the camera here. I've got Diamine Softmint, but that's a little bit too light. I've got Diamine Marine, and I know that's a little bit too dark. Yeah, I've got others as well. I've got some Jade coloured inks, but honestly, I think this ink goes really well with that pen. The next pen is the Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra Wild West. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this, again, like the Wahl Eversharp, is a super wet nib. And I do like these wet nibs. So this is an Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra, and this is the Wild West. It's a Atelier Luxuries exclusive. It's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Wild Strawberry, which is a beautiful red, bright red ink. But you will see though, it is feathering here, and this is on Oxford Optic paper. The last pen is the Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in the shiny circles. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a medium nib. And I do like how this nib writes. I have a couple of Montegrappas and I have medium nibs on them. And I don't know, maybe if I go for another Montegrappa, which I probably will at some point, I may go for a broad nib instead. There's nothing against the medium nibs. I am starting to like broads a bit more. So this is the Montegrappa. And it's the Bartolomeo Ferracina. And it's the shiny circles. And it is a medium 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is one of the two favourite teas that I like. The other being Lady Grey. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a Urushi Studio Idia in the Xiphos R in an Akatamanuri with a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. We have an OMAS Milord in the Wild in a medium 18 karat gold in Waterman Audacious Red. And you'll notice that this is feathering on Oxford Optic paper. We then have a Parker Duofold Centennial in the Purlin Black in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Imperial Purple. We have a Parker Duofold Prestige Black Chevron in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. We have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Diamond Nebula in a broad steel nib inked up with Monteverde Blueberry Muffin. We have a London Pen Company, the Christopher in Erinoid Caramel in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Chocolate. We have another London Pen Company, the Christopher, and this is the 15 in Primary Manipulation 1 in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade, and this is in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Aqua Lagoon. We have an Armando Simoni Bologna Extra Wild West in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Wild Strawberry. And then last but not least, we have the Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in the shiny circles in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.